Then we do the... What kind of thumbnail face should I do, chat? Should I do the... What should I do? Should I do the poggers? Do this one? Do that one? We got the Mr. Beast one. We got that one. Do the thumbnail after you review it? What? No, you have to ask for likes, comments, and subscription before the video has even started. You have to have like the pog facial expression before you've even read anything that's going on. Do this one. This one. I wonder if that one's going to show up. We'll see. We'll see if it shows up. Okay. Okie dokie. To this face. That doesn't look good. Okay. Character info UI changes. So we probably saw Steve's videos. He made some short videos on it. Max has translated the full patch notes. Looks like there's some interesting stuff here and some why did we do this thing. So we will see. But the current Tespia patch is live in Korea. Sorry, that's confusing. Live patch and Tespia patch are two separate things. Live server is one. Tespia means test server. So it probably goes into the live server next week. What they have over there now is a reorganization for the character info and the stats UI, which is a big overhaul from what we have right now. And at the same time, there is going to be an API from what I heard, which means that you'll be able to, as a user, be able to pull from the API information and make cool stuff with that, you know? Like right now, the only API I think we have is for the character rankings, and that's why you have MapleRankings.gg and all of that stuff, or MapleStory.MapleRankings.com or whatever it's called, like a bunch of websites that use the rankings for cool things, like you can see how much EXP you can get per day, you can see how quickly you would get to a certain level, you can compare with other people, right? So there's a bunch of cool extra tools that people can make. I hope this goes through, or maybe a little bit better as what I see, that we get a cool API and that someone can make an add-on for Twitch stream where you basically could just click on, depending on whatever name my character is, right? You can click and you could just see all the stats of my character at any given time. I don't really have to make equip videos, or if people are wondering like, oh, what stat is your weapon or something, they could just boom, they can just immediately see. Or when I'm on a mule, some random mule that I don't want to make an extra sheet for because I have so many characters, they'd be like, oh, how strong is this boss mule? And then bam, you could just see all the stats instantly. That would be really cool if you could get something like that off the ground. So anyone who wants to make that, just get started on the Korea info once that's going to be live. So that would be nice. Director Chunks Up did a Maple Now stream talking about the changes that were made. So yeah, we looked at that if you saw Steve's videos. I swear I spend more time translating his 2-hour streams than I do the actual patch notes now. Because he talks so much, but you don't know how much of it is really 100% relevant. The context, though, I think is very important. When someone is like, oh, we're going to change this. Okay, that's cool, but why? What are you trying to achieve? Why did you get into the direction of actually making this change? I think that's the important part. The fact that they're changing something in itself, for me, usually isn't that big of a deal. It's like, you're changing that. Okay, cool, done, So test server events. This year, they combined the Camilla event and the Halloween event into a single Maple Fashion Week event that lets you purchase a lot of cosmetic items as well as get growth-related items every day just by defeating 1,000 mobs a day. Pretty nice. There are about 200 cosmetic items available in total. They even brought over some outfits from MapleStory M that many players have liked and requested. I wish they would also bring over more features from MapleStory M, but I guess the whole stat window is basically, it's very Maple M-like if you've ever played it in terms of how it looks. This patch has had World's Best Punch King Season 2. He joked that a lot of the time events that have a Season 1 never have a Season 2, but this time it actually happened. I mean, I'm still waiting for Union or Legion Arena Season 2. I like that. I mean, there should be a lot of stuff tweaked on it, of course. Some of the classes were, too strong. Some of them were too weak. The movement of the characters was often a little bit jank. And then the non-KMS classes had some trouble being balanced properly. But as long as that balance is okay, I'd love to see another Legion Arena, season. I thought that was really fun. And of course, I've got a pretty decent Legion, so I can depend on that. In contrast to the previous season, the scores are based off the total number of points you get instead of how fast you clear, to avoid problems where things like killing the extra monsters fast enough or server lag would significantly affect your score. You can also retry without losing all your buffs. The number of points you get. Wait, doesn't that mean that everyone just maxes out? Punch King was a good event for those who are strong enough to rank, and even for those who aren't, to watch the rankings and videos and see those powerful characters. They wanted to add a little bit for normal players. This time you can receive a 30-minute triple EXP buff effect by talking to the rank 1 NPC in the map every day, and get VIP coupons based on your best score, which you can use for bossing or for training. Really wants to release Legion Arena Season 2. Oh, there we go. I should have read first. It could be a really great motivator for players to improve their Legion, but last time the AI battles made it a little dumb rather than strategic, so it wasn't really the experience they intended. When they can find a better way to implement it, they will release a Season 2. And there was a big problem with it, and a lot of people, we were talking about it, and a lot of people agreed with that, is that they didn't just have like a calculator that calculated, you know, who should win what and why, and then kind of like a visual representation of what that fight would look like. But what they actually had was only the physical representation of that fight, and then weird things that happened in that fight would actually determine the actual output of damage. And that, I think that's the main problem. They're putting the cart before the horse there. Instead of just saying like, okay, if you put these stats in, these numbers in, this will happen. And then, you know, maybe visually there's some glitching or there's some weird effects happening or something like that. But you know who's going to win based on the maths. You know, that's what should happen, right? Because it was pretty non-complex. There were two characters, and they were just trying to hit each other, and then, you know, and then they both had like a summon, like a kind of like an android backup that would buff them or attack the other person. That was kind of it. That was it. So, yeah. There was no need for it to be that complicated. I feel like if they put the maths before the actual effects, then, you know, even if the effects aren't all there, it would still be, you should still be able to see the results. You maybe even like fast track the results and not have to see the entire animation. Like you can skip it. But if you put some jank-ass animations there and then you let those decide who wins, then yeah, it can go all over the place. And I think that's what the problem was. Okay, I just said it the same thing 3 times. When they can find a better way to implement it, they will release a Season 2. Damn, so they're not nowhere close to doing that. Okay, so it's at least like a year to year and a half before we see that, sadly. I really like that content. At this time, we started talking about their position on proxy content control service, which some people used last time. So this is not for GMS because you're not allowed to play on another person's account. But in KMS, you can, under certain circumstances. I said it thinks control service is not the right type of gameplay and unfair to other players. Their current operation policy for proxy services is mainly aimed at businesses where it can be clearly proven and action can be taken. But obviously there are a lot of other ways this can be done. They use things like not being able to participate in certain content on Red PC to stop this, but there's many ways around it, so they are still working on ways to properly target this. They're clearly against it and will work on strengthening their policies in the future. Yeah, I don't know. So apparently there's people who just play the game in Korea by just swiping their credit card, getting really strong gear, then paying other people to train for them on their account, and then paying other people to boss for them on their account. And then they have a strong, with clears character, but the only thing they can really kill is like, you know, normal Zakum or something. It's really strange how you get to that level of caring more about what the character can do than caring about being able to do it. So it's interesting.
Scardor, just check in a break from Maple and letting it marinate feels okay, man.
Letting it marinate, bro. Hey, next week get that big, don't lose the biggest buff on the current event, or do miss it. You know, whatever you need to do. But thank you for the resub, man. Appreciate it. Could someone pay me to level their Legion? So in GMS, there's just no option to do that whatsoever. But in KMS, there's some workarounds. They also avoided giving temp stats around this time because of Punch King event. The I didn't do anything event is returning with some changes to make it better, and it will overlap with other events rather than being a standalone event. I don't think it should ever be a well, I'm okay with it being a standalone event if it's like something just to kill time, like transition from one really busy event to another pretty busy event, then I'm okay with it. But not as like a, oh, there's not much going on, and then this week there's only I didn't do anything event, like, because then it really feels like they're just trying to pad the numbers, you know, with like AFK people in the game to make it look like there's more people playing than there actually are. It's not a, doesn't feel good. They've changed it so that you store the same amount of experience as when you're online or offline. So instead of being an event that pushes you to stay online for a long time, you can think of it as an event that encourages you to log in daily. Okay, so that is nice. That makes it feel a little bit less like that. That's cool. They've increased the amount of experience about 2.3x better up to level 200. Probably 2.3 times as good, I think, is what max probably means here instead of better. Up to 10x better at level 259. I mean, it was really, really dog shit. Even 9 times better or 10 times as good, or maybe it is 10 times better. It's probably still not that good, but I guess they're just trying to push everyone to 260 a little bit faster whenever they can. Remember, never use X times better, because you can just add 1 and then say X is good. If you're trying to use a big number, you should say like 11 times as good. That's 10 times better, but it's 11 times as good. You want to use the bigger number there for the shock value, right? It is a similar side quest like last time with the pickaxe farming, since more players worked on that than they expected to get the diamond pickaxe. Hey, it was cute. I think, wasn't there one guy who got like 6 diamond pickaxes or something on Reddit? Last time Mining Candy gave a little bit more experience because they used these off-season events to keep players online in between the winter and summer events. But nowadays, there are many players still playing in between the big events, so they don't need to do stuff like that. Okay. Maybe not in Korea, but... Well, actually, the game is moving in that direction, right? Where they don't need to do that anymore. They want to keep players all year round, and the way they're doing that is by taking EXP away from the large grinding sessions, and they're giving it to the daily. So if you just log in every day and do it, did we get it like day 1? He got it really quickly. Yeah, I don't think day 1, but like day 3 or something. Yeah. Character info UI reorganization, the big one. Usually things like this would have been saved for the spring project and winter-summer patches, but as he promised before, they will try to make system changes as fast as possible to make the game better. Character info UI has been reorganized. The previous UI was created based on old 800 by 600 resolution that the game started with, but now that they have added full HD and Quadra HD, I don't know. Like, do you mean like 2K and 4K? Is that what that means? More and more players are using those high resolutions, and they want to make the best use of the increased screen size. The character info UI and the stats window have been combined into a single UI with more information. A lot of information, yeah. And the riding skills have been modified to the skill window, and the damage skin window has been moved to the equipment inventory, and the pets are in there as well somewhere. The note that this change will be both good and bad. Many existing players will have an unpleasant experience because it's different, and all change is bad. We know this from what people have become used to seeing, but which is the main design of the new UI was worried about. Yeah, you're never gonna make a new UI that everyone is like, "Oh, this is great. This is amazing. This is so much better." For me, I'm more looking at the functional start. You know, like which numbers are on there, where are they? Are they repeated? The fact that in the old stat window, if you open it up, like you open this thing, like your level isn't here. Like your level is down here, sure, but like this is like arguably, this should contain all the most important numbers of your account. You've got your guild here, your job, as if you don't know that one, your fame, your HP, your MP, your damage range is in here, like picking up all this spot, and then your level isn't even on. It's kind of strange. I would like stat equivalents to be in there, but as you'll see, they're not doing that. But I would like to see stat equivalents between like main stat, secondary stat, weapon attack, damage percent, IED, critical damage, that kind of stuff. So you could just see how much of one is worth how much of the other. But, you know, maybe in like 4 or 5 years, they'll be ready for that. For now, they're still just working on like total weapon attack. That was already kind of an upgrade, you know, total attack. That was already a bit of a, that was at least a step in the right direction. Where are we at? I decided to go ahead with the change as it will be better for both new and existing players. Yeah, even existing players will get used to it super fast. It's like the new world map for Maple Island, right? A lot of people were like, oh no, not Maple Island, for Dude, what is it even called? I don't even know what it's called. Victoria Island. People were like, "Oh my god, it's so different," and after a week, you don't even notice. You don't even remember what the old one looked like. You just move on so fast. There are many other UI elements that are still based on 800 by 600 resolution, which is ancient, such as equipment and inventory, and those might also be reorganized in the future. As MapleStory has been in service for such a long time, almost 2 decades. Well, actually 2 decades in Korea, but almost 2 decades here in the West. There's been more and more content added that requires more information to be displayed, and the current UI was both unclear and a little old-fashioned for new players to understand. A little old-fashioned. At least the hand stat is gone. But they should probably bring that one back, huh? So I can score a 0. The top part of the UI is the previous character info UI. Has the same information as such as Legion, Mulung Dojo Floor, Fame, and Guild. And level. A new feature is to change the background of your character to add a little bit more customization. There's 6 backgrounds now, and more can be added later through events. Then there's, we'll look at the pictures in a little bit, but basically they introduced like a new stat because they realized that damage range is just, has been out of fashion for like 14 years and shouldn't be looked at all for any kind of comparison. So instead they just came up with this random new stat called combat power, which, should have a better prediction of how strong your character is, but we'll read it, but I'm not holding my breath. The lower part of UI contains the stat window information as well as a new combat power and some stats that previously were not shown, such as normal monster damage %, cooldown reduction, cooldown skip, elemental resistance ignore, status damage, weapon mastery, and additional experience. So like your total experience percentage. They've also reviewed all of the tooltips to fix any incorrect information, explain the calculation methods, and display all the values. This is one of their goals, as a lot of the combat-related aspects of the game are really complicated and not possible to understand without others explaining to you or through a lot of experience. Enter the coaching sessions. Even with the increased space, they still had to add a scroll wheel for the bottom part to show some other stats and leave room for expansion later. Hopefully, we get character equivalents. Hopefully. They had a lot of discussion about combat power, such as what would be included or not included. Their first intention was, with this value, was to provide an indicator for a character's growth, and the second intention was to give a value that you could use to compare with other players. I'm sorry, but I don't think, unless there's some huge new wind blowing through MapleStory, which there kind of is right now, but I don't know if MapleStory is ever going to be capable of giving me like one number that I can use and that'll determine how strong my character is, and I can just compare to other classes in the game and it'll be like a relevant comparison. Like I don't think that's ever going to happen with 49 different classes. Don't think that's possible, but let's see. Right now players use things like damage range. No, they haven't for a decade. They haven't used damage range because it's just not a good thing to look at. And main stat to compare. Main stat is okay as long as you're comparing with someone who's also not yet switched into pitch pieces, or if you're comparing to someone who has also, just like you, switched into pitch pieces, because your stat will go way up, especially because in KMS, they're looking at KMS non-reboot. Oh, everyone just buys pitch at a certain point, right? But since we have Gollix and we have the boss set there, we have a lot less main stat for most people. And especially in reboot, you might take forever to get out of the pitch waiting room. So it makes sense to compare to someone who's in like the same stage as you, like pre-pitch or post-pitch. And you can compare stat, like the higher the stat is, the more reliable it is, as long as you're in the same stage, right? To see as a predictive value of how strong you are. But yeah, someone who's 8k stat could be doing triple or, theoretically infinite times the damage as someone else who's also 8k stat. But because the IED or critical damage and stuff like that, or sacred power, arcane power, all of that stuff could be, well, probably not sacred power at 8k stat, but like arcane power could be coming into play and making a huge difference there. Damage range can be affected by multiple things like classes skills. That's another thing. Yeah, weapon attack. No, weapon attack is included in damage range. Weapon multiplier, that's also included in damage range. And main stat doesn't distinguish. But what I mean is this could be an indicator as to why damage range is a lower or higher. But these are included in the damage range. But classes skills are not included in damage range. Main stat doesn't distinguish between players with more or less Arcane, Authentic Force, and Star Force. Nope, but that's why we have attack on one end, and we have stat on another end, and we have Star Force as a stat on another end, so you can use those 3 indicators. And Arcane and Authentic Power, yeah, that gives you a lot of flat stat as well, but hopefully that's correlated with your level to some extent by having more time to do dailies and weeklies. Shrimp play with Wiki Legion, what would recommend as the main? Comfy mobbing and bossing. Comfy, low effort. You know, like Buck, Dawn Warrior, and Nightwalker are usually like the ones that people go to for now. Pretty easy, solid base stats, strong. A lot of people like the, you know, simplicity of them. Then include link skills, since most of them are situational or require some sort of activation, like arcs, which take time to ramp up. However, you can see others link skills in the stat window as well when you click on something else. So it's not just for you, right? So you click on someone else and then you get all of their info, which was implemented to help supplement the lack of including them in combat power. It didn't include certain stats like defense ignore, you know, not very important anyway. Elemental resistance ignore, who needs that? Character level. Arcane, Authentic Power, since they can defer in effectiveness based on the monster being attacked. Things like cooldown reduction are also not applied, even though they are quite beneficial to certain classes, because it would be too difficult to calculate them into combat power. So, yeah, if they can't even do that, then I don't know what that number is even going to mean for anyone. Because the number exists, people are going to use it, and people are going to like dick measure with it, but I don't think it's going to literally mean anything for anyone. Hey, lost another follower. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Then include consumable items, because it makes it easier to compare between players if there is a standard base level. Rather than artificially increasing your combat power by using a bunch of consumables, you can see the character's base strength. Yeah, and if you use a bunch of coupons, like that stat is not even going to go up, so you can't really try to artificially inflate it. Although it's not perfect and maybe a little primitive, they think it'll be a very useful indicator for players, and it's better to have something like this rather than having nothing at all. Is it though? That's actually a point where I think you could have a good conversation. Is it better to have something imperfect that doesn't really do much rather than nothing at all? I don't think so. I think what having a number like this will mean is that some people will say like you need at least like 1 million for combat power, otherwise you're not allowed into the normal Lucid party. Then you got a bunch of people who are not even going to practice, and as soon as they get 1 million, they think, oh, because I have 1 million, now I could do the boss. And then they walk in with 1 million thinking that they're the shit, and then they'll get their ass blasted inside out because they have no idea what the boss fight is. Whereas if you just have like a range of like, well, you're around this and around this, you can start, and then people start, and then people can start learning and, you know, see where they're good, see where they're not so good, see where they need help. Maybe they need a little bit more arcane power, maybe they need to increase their IED, maybe they need to increase their boss damage. But if you throw it all into one pile, you lose all the nuance of what you need to work on to increase your damage. Plus, you have a lot of people just holding on to that one number as the be-all end-all to, this is what determines what I can do. And I think that's worse than not having that. I say get rid of damage range, get rid of whatever this number is, this combat power, and just give like a general level indicator and like a stat indicator for like 3 stats or something. I think that'll be already... I know that they don't like... And that's why my progression grid is like convoluted, right? There's so many stats on there. And now we're adding like 6 job stats on there on the bottom, right? We're going to be adding hexamatrix and stats and all that stuff. And there's like a lot of numbers. But I don't think you could just give it one number, because you lose all the nuance, and then you're even further away from what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to make someone feel like they're roughly in the right spot to try something, you know? And that just the game is just at a level of complexity where it just needs... Like, if you're just looking at damage, there's a few of these that you could definitely let go of, right? You have main stat... like, these are important. Legion level, that's like subsumed in everything else. That's more like a guideline for how you get there, right? Star Force also is more like a backup guideline. Attack power is probably one that you want. Weapon flame, that's also just a guideline. Flame scores, that's all guidelines. Arcane power is probably what you want. Boost node is probably what you want, and sacred power. So there's like 4 or 5 you could also leave out that you don't, that are more like supportive on like how can you get to those stats. Kind of like further distilling where it's coming from. But you're gonna need at least like 6 or 7 metrics to know like how strong you are. I don't think you can ever just put it on one number. I don't like it. They took combat power from Pokemon Go. There's probably like 1,001 games that have a stat like combat power. I think other games have things like equip scores or something, right? Which I think that's a very, or gear score, yeah. I think that's a pretty popular stat in MMOs in general. But yeah, we'll see what it does. I don't have like high hopes that this is going to be like revolutionizing how people can finally now know if they're strong enough or not. But maybe it does. Maybe it perfectly... Well, no, they already said it doesn't include ignore defense. Like, it doesn't include defense ignore, so the number is useless, basically. Because you can have a bajillion there but not have enough IED, and your damage is just ass. Or you can have way too much IED, and that takes a lot of your power away, and then it looks like you have no power, but you'll be doing like 10 times the damage of someone else. So, I don't know. How has item level? Yeah, I think it's all gear score, right? I think Lost Ark has that as well. I don't know. Every game I think tries to find like what is it, some kind of level, some kind of indicator that we can give to people so they can intuitively grasp like this is progress and this isn't. If this intuitively pushes people in the right direction, that's cool. But I don't think it's ever going to approach like a clear number that you can be like, okay, this boss 500k, this boss 650k, this boss 800k. You know, there's still going to be class diffs, and there's still going to be a bunch of stats that are not included in it, and yeah, that's always going to make it not just not perfect, but like from what I can see now, just bad. I think it's almost better to not have a number. So I disagree with that statement. Better to not have a number at all than to have a bad one. Other characters info. You can see, You can see other characters' stats, equips, skills, and cache items. Skills includes the V matrix and the link skills. You'll see all of their equipment, arcane symbols, authentic symbols, and pet equipment. This is mostly important in non-reboot, of course. In reboot, pet equipment doesn't matter at all. You can see all of their applied link skills, V matrix, and hexa matrix. There you go. And the idea is that although combat power doesn't include everything, you can combine it by looking at their other stats, equipment, and skills to get a better idea of a character's strength. Usually things like this are opt-in. For example, you can currently see other players' equipment on the home page and on Maple Hands. Only if they have set their profile to public. So, you can also, if you're either a hacker or for some reason you care a lot about, you care too much about whether or not other people can see how strong your stuff is. You can set it to private, and then other people can't like snoop on your gear. However, this new system will be public for everyone without the option to hide it. They had a lot of internal discussion about whether or not to do this, and both sides had logical points, but they eventually decided to do it. Oh, without the option to hide it. Oh, dude, I was sure they would add that. Because a lot of the stuff seems to be like the fact that they give it a color instead of just show the actual percentage of the damage. It feels like they hide that not for simplicity's sake, but they hide that because they don't want certain people to feel bad or other people to be able to hold it over people's head like, aha, I did so much more damage than you. So it's interesting to me that they would give it as an option for people, not give it for people as an option to opt out. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. There are two reasons why. The first being for ease of use for future plans they have. Okay. Oh, it's laziness. Okay. Sorry. They mean ease of use, but yeah. Excuse me. There are two reasons why. For example, they're planning to release a Star Force probability related API this winter. A software's probability related API design. Okay. And also an API that lets you scrape things related to character information. By the way, there's a huge amount of information already available in Korea, right? About star forcing, about potentials, about cubing, about tearing up, about all of that. We still don't have any base rates in GMS. KMS has whole websites where you can see in this week on these items, this was the average chance at this start. This was the average cube outcome. Like this is how many cubes people took to get these potentials. There's whole like monitoring websites for all of Korea. We don't even know what the base numbers are in GM. We don't even know what we're aiming for. Still a wild difference between the regions, but okay. This is for the many players with programming knowledge who can develop things that generate meaningful data. So this is what I was mentioning before, right? They gave the converted stat spreadsheet as an example. Providing more accurate data with less omissions, fewer omissions, will make it more likely for some interesting things to be made. The second reason is that, as explained before, the combat power stat does not include everything, and you need to check these other stats to get a better idea of a character's strength. I think we can make, if all of this is public, I think we can make a combat power that is actually a good predictive combat power. Where you can like select the boss, select the class, and then API, well, just select the boss like an opponent, and then API your stats, and then it rolls out an actual good predictive combat power of how good your character is, and like a comparative number compared to other people. I think that will be possible once we have all of it. I don't trust Nexon to do it. Like if they can't even include IED into it, it's lost. Because IED is one of the most important stats in the entire game, and something like combat power will like 95% of it will only just matter for bossing. So that already is like that's not, it's incommensurable, is that the word? You can't have something that's there for bossing and then also not include the most important bossing damage. It doesn't work. But I believe that, you know, once they give this to the community, there's probably going to be a bunch of people who can come up with some formulas where it actually makes sense and they can come up with good numbers. And an actual predictive number. Second reason is that I explained before, the combat power stat does not include everything, and you need to check the other stats to get a better idea of the character's strength. They thought that in the long run it would be more helpful if everyone's information was visible. No, that does make sense, yeah, because someone could be like, oh, your battle power is much higher than mine, and then we fight, is like, oh, I do way more damage in the BA, like what's going on there? And then they'll more logically get you to the point of understanding where does damage come from and what should I be working on to get stronger. Hey, don't make them not need my my information sheets anymore, okay? KMS? Jesus. I'll just have to make different information sheets and just better ones. Dimensional Library. Oh god, we all care about this. Let's go. Dimensional Library Episode 7, Sephiroth's Gardener has been added. Sephiroth, wrong franchise. Well, some of the data was added to the test world for internal testing. It is not available to play through, even though they changed their thoughts about adding new stories into Tespia a few years ago, i.e. the full stories are available to test. This Dimensional Library content is a bit different in that it's entirely focused on the story rather than unlocking a new area or something like that. This means it requires a different type of testing that they can mostly complete without players. Ooh, they don't want to show everyone yet. This episode is about Gerard Darmour. He's a key character in the Grandis arc. A key character. Not like the main... Like, we know who he is. Is he only a key character? Okay. Similar to the Black Mage. Okay, so the main character. But this backstory has been lacking. He kind of like appears out of nowhere, huh? Since it's a dimensional library story, it is not affected by the flow of time or progressing the main story. It's an alternate universe, chat. It's the multiverse. So they aim to better explain what kind of character Gerard Darmour is and how his thought process works. They're very focused on improving their production. Probably not. Potato. Very focused on improving their production and direction of story content. Although it might seem minimal to players, they put a lot of thought into things like new transitions to help show the passing of time, using more spine animations and improving their technical skills to use in the main story in the future. Yeah, most people won't care too much about that. But the lore in this game is actually pretty good, and the whole build-up of the lore hopefully is getting better and better with the dedicated lore team that they have had that took away a lot of the inconsistencies and streamlined the whole process. It isn't meant to be a long story or a huge amount of backstory, but they want to have something where you can enjoy a story with a few memorable moments. It's hard for them to progress the main story now that the newest area, Carstone, is already level 285, so they're looking at ways like this to help supplement it. Yeah, and someone was mentioning as well, like, oh, 2024 is already going to have like a level 290 area in it. Maybe by the end of 2024, but I think we're going to be without new areas and higher level stuff for quite a bit. Because they're trying to slow down everyone's leveling. So I think they're trying to build out in width a little bit more than in depth at this point. He's a slightly important character. Yeah. Yeah, what if he's just a puppet to an even bigger, badder person? He could be, right? We don't know. Maybe he's just a general of an even badder dude. Improvements. Previously, Dimensional Library updates were off-season, and so they were designed to have a little more playtime required. However, now that they are mainly for the story, they decided to lower the previous episode's quest requirements to make them easier to enjoy. They removed the storage meso cost to make it a bit more convenient when moving items between mules that have no mesos. Oh! Dude, we're going to be making so much extra money. Yes. Like in Ardent Mill, every time... The dumbest thing is when you're like, yo, can I put this item in storage? No, sorry, you don't have any money. But you have my money, right? Yeah. Can I have some of my money? Sure. Can I store an item now? Sure, but that'll be 500 mesos. Okay, I'll just give you the money right back. Okay, that's cool. Just take it out of the fucking storage if there's money in the storage if I'm trying to store something. Like, or just do this, okay? Just don't make it cost anything anymore. That's probably better. Just cut out the middleman. At this point, why have a storage, character? Just throw it in a pile, in an instance pile that only I can see. So that's okay. Those are, as far as improvements go, that's pretty good. Conclusion about the class being remastered. He asked players to wait a little bit more. They're working hard on Kaiser. On a well-prepared remaster with a fun surprise and abundant events. About haste events, he doesn't think they'll be using that name for a while. The Choo Choo Slushy event inherited some parts of the haste event. Yeah, it's probably okay to start having events with like similar effects, but kind of like rearranging them, renaming them. I think people are fine with some aspects of some events definitely being there, but they don't have to have like one type of event just, reappear into perpetuity, I talked a little bit about he visited the Maple pop-up shop, with Wonky and BTS Jin, and how he was so handsome that it felt unrealistic to stand next to him for a picture. Oh, Jin? Dude, I don't understand the whole thing with thinking that Jin is supposed to be so handsome. I guess it's like typical like Korean standards or something. He just looks like a regular fucking dude to me. Like I don't get it. Like in BTS, he's probably like the 4th best looking or something. Okay. Out of the 17 members. But personal taste, I guess. About the players in chat, anxious about Monster Life replacement. Yes, because remember, that's another thing, right? The Monster Life. He reassured them that the elements that they worked hard on in the current Monster Life will be preserved in some way in the new system. That is interesting. Okay, that's cool. Because as you guys know, right now, Monster Life is only a non-reboot. But they said that this new system is going to exist in reboot and in non-reboot. So if there is going to be some benefits... as always, there's going to be some benefits to most systems that exist in both servers to non-reboot because of, their ability to swipe. But if they have progress and they're going to get a head start on it... I guess they don't get a head start on it. It's completely separated, right? But it'll be interesting to see what kind of system they build where it's both going to maintain the progress for non-reboot players and also give something for reboot players to work on. Because you see the entire list of buffs that Monster Life gives, they're all very small buffs, but it does add up to like 20 or 30 like very small buffs. It does tend to work up, so, Watch them delete familiars when we get monster life. It could be something that interacts with that in a weird way, or it like wouldn't work to go on top of it. Maybe, yeah, we'll have to see. So it's mainly this, yeah, and then knowing which remaster is going to happen. That'll be interesting. Okay, overview. Character information UI reorganization. Show us. All right, so here's the picture from the from the thumbnail. Like that. No, don't use that one. So you can see level. Obviously, it's all in Korean, but you have the inner ability down here. Still with the same max. You get your hyperstats here that you can collapse or you can squeeze in. There's some more information up here, and there is a second tab here as well that you can scroll through. But yeah, and basically instead of yeah, so damage skin is right here now. Oh, damn, it's got 2 eternal pieces already. Good shit, dog. So damage skin will be here, and it'll open up to the side. And mounts will be there, and then the pet info will be in this pet screen instead of being right now. If you like double click yourself, where you have the pets and the mounts and the damage skin here, so those will not be there anymore. They'll be here. So writings and the skill UI writing feature, which I think that's where they already are, right? If you go here, yeah, mount is already here, right? But it opens this whole thing when you click mount, which is a little strange. So that'll just be streamlined a little bit, make more sense. Pet info, damage skins, yeah, so just sort of what that was. Feature to change your character's avatar's background. So here you'll have 6 of them, no background or any of these. No background or any of these 6, and then they'll add more of them later. So when someone clicks your character, it'll just look a certain way. But look at your level. It's right here, prominently up top, where it should be. Beautiful. And my mohawk might touch it. No, I think it'll be just below it. And then this is what it's mostly gonna look like. So you have these stats. Most important things: HP, MP, strength, dex, and luck. That's the combat power up here, and that's got a question mark, so it'll give you a little bit of information on how it's calculated and where it's coming from and all that. And stat, and then you have the equip tab, skill tab, cache tab. Equip tab will look like this. So you have arcane and authentic will occupy the same space. They won't be like spread out like they are now. So you could just select one of the two, and then you can see all the equips. You can hover over the equips and then see all the details of the equips, all the regular stat as well. Gonna be able to save chapter 5 sack symbols for Shangri-La. No, typically what happens with sacred symbol selectors is that you cannot use them on areas that come out after the selectors are released, essentially. Even if those areas come out before they expire, the selectors will have limited amount of... So they'll only have these 3 areas that you can exchange for. Oh yeah, and then all the pets here and the pet equips, but of course, like I said, like in Reboot, that's not very important. And then you have people's V matrix, hexa matrix, and other skills you can like check. So link skills, V skills, hexa matrix, you can check how much their skills have already been leveled, if they've been grinding and working hard on their skills. And then this is the hexa stats as well. So you can see if they've been leveling that up at all. And here you can see their NX, and if they have an Android, you can also see their Android's NX. This will make it a little bit easier to see like what kind of outfit someone has. If you see someone with a cool outfit and you want to copy their outfit or something, like it'll be much easier to see it in like one glance, and it'll just look a lot cleaner, honestly. For Angelic Buster and Zero Job, the cosmetic items applied to the current character's appearance will be displayed. They should probably have a little bit of a tab as well, just like for the arcane symbols and the sacred symbols, that you could just tab through it. But maybe they'll do that eventually. So the new information has combat power, normal monster damage, cooldown skip, cooldown reduction, additional status damage, weapon mastery, elemental resistance ignored, and additional experience acquisition. So total percentage EXP. And Steve's videos has a little bit of a demonstration on that as well and what it looks like. Why weapon mastery? Not every single character has the same percentage of mastery. It is honestly, it is a pretty important stat, but they should probably just give all the characters at a certain point all the same percentage mastery, so nobody needs to know it and nobody needs to worry about it. But there are some differences between classes. I don't know why they added that and not stat equivalence. I don't know. There's a whole team thinking about these things and then deciding what should be in there. Maybe they'll take it out. Maybe they'll add stuff later. Like I said, they created space and they created an extra tab here, and there's an extra tab here as well. So there's still more information they could add and info they could switch out. Maybe KMS will say, like, we don't need mastery, give us something else, and maybe they'll add something else that they have on the list, you know. Calibrated, yep. Combat power reflects your character's base stats, equipment, traits, ability, hyper stats, Maple Legion, attackers, and board effects, monster life potential, and hexastat. Then it reflects stat boosts from skills, or stat boosts including links and guild skills, or stat boosts from consumable items. However, it does include the following skills and consumable items that are directly affected by a character's equipment growth or consistently affect damage, such as arrows for projectiles, Blessing of the Spirit or Blessing of the Empress, Star Force Conversion, yay, Demon Avengers, and Yalda Bauth of Destruction. That's the final damage skill if you have a Genesis weapon on. The Ruin? Something of Ruin. God, what's it called? I don't know a character that has that. Is it called Ruin? Which nerd in the chat can... I forgot the name for that. It includes the character's main stat, substat, attack, magic attack, damage, boss damage, final damage, and critical damage. Canadian Ruin, that's the one. It does not include factors that are different based on the map or monsters being attacked, such as character level, defense ignore, elemental resistance ignore. Oh yeah. Arcane power, sacred power. It also does not include the weapon multiplier that is applied differently to each class. Your weapon's attack and magic attack will be converted to a standardized value based on its level, rank, additional options, and Star Force values. So they're trying to make it a little bit more like a gear score, but a little bit wider, not just the gear, but like a character score. Yeah. We'll have to see if it really gives any kind of prediction. For smoother comparison between classes, Demon Avenger and Xenon's combat power have an additional multiplier since their main stat calculations are different than normal classes. Yeah, so they're going to give us like the 17.5, which is way lower than what we actually have, so our score is going to look like ass. Because it should be 22.5 for like late game. End game should get closer to 25, actually. Its multiplier will change. So either it'll look a lot higher than it needs to be or a lot lower than it needs to be. One of the two. The multiplier will change based on the current combat power. For 0, the secondary weapons, certain base stats and additional options will not be applied to combat power. Certain existing stats' names have been changed. Boss damage has been changed to boss monster damage, and crit damage to critical damage. Just to make it more in line with normal monster damage. How many hours does it take to get level 260 with hyper burning as a new player working on my links right now? I don't know that number. I don't keep track of amount of hours. There's too many variables in terms of augmenting your leveling speed, you know, with potions and multipliers and all that stuff. So it's really, really hard. Like, it'll be anywhere from X to Y, Y being like 4 times as long as X or something. Even in just amount of hours, depending on like how efficient you play and all that. So I don't really keep track of those numbers. If you know someone in chat who's done it recently, and they can tell you how long they took. But yeah, remember the hyper burning for 260 is going to start on November 15th. Right now we only have a hyper burning up to 250. Only. That's still really good. Search stat description has been improved to be more accurate. You can now check additional information through the damage range, quote unquote. The information about weapons that can be equipped has been added. The weapon multiplier applied to the currently equipped weapon has been added, and the damage range values when attacking boss and normal monster damage has been added. Okay, finally a difference multiplier between, or a different damage range for pulsing and normal. That's again, baby steps, chat. We're going in the right direction. It has been improved so that you can check a stat's current value and applied values through pop-up as well. When you click on each stat, a pop-up with that stat's current value and all applied values will be opened. Except for your actual stat. I think your main stat doesn't have that. Like, what is the total percentage stat? What is the flat amount right now? I don't think stat has that right now. But maybe. You could see if he can... Yeah, this just has this, and that's it. No breakdown of where the stats are coming from. Okay, when I press spacebar, I want to continue the video. Here's your AP. Yeah, this is where you start your AP. And this one has more breakdowns with extra info on the side. This will, I think, help a lot for people who are just like starting out and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. You have a bit more breakdown. Plus, you know, it won't all be in Korean for us, so that'll make it easier to understand and to read what's going on. Dimensional library, Sephiroth's Gardener. Oh, new music. What is this? Oh, it's gonna be loud as fuck. So I saved you guys. Are there any thieves with a level 210 link skill? Oh, Phantom. For Links and Legion, just exclamation mark links and memories. Shadower? Yeah, Shadower only has level 2 link skill. You can see all the link skills and all the Legion buffs in that command. Get them all in one place. Ooh. Good shit. And now a little harder. The saddest sanctuary, Sephiroth. The neglected solitude of the sanctuary. The neglected solitude of the sanctuary loop. What is happening in Transcendent of Life's desolate sanctuary? Okay. This requires character level 100 or higher. 0 is chapter 2. Improvements, quests. The following 5-dimensional libraries quests, hunting collection requirements have been lowered. Okay. When you complete an authentic force or sacred power area daily quest, you will now be giving sacred symbol vouchers instead of symbols. That's actually fucking massive. Because that means you can just keep doing Grandis. Oh, no, wait. No, just for that symbol, probably. Never mind. Not as good as I thought. It just means that, you know, they don't all go into your inventory, but you can turn them from coupons into a thing. I thought they were going to give you, like, selectors instead of vouchers. In my brain, I understood selectors, which was fucking insane. Because then we basically get the system that I wanted 7 years ago, where that you could like basically do easier dailies for a long time, and then just speed up your later symbols with it. But It's vouchers, which is still good, you know, if you have limited inventory space. As a reboot player, you know, all of our inventory space for equipment is severely limited. So getting vouchers instead of symbols is nice. Because then you could just, you know, you could just wait, or whenever you have a little bit of space, then you could just slam them all. And if you have no space, you could just keep them all as vouchers. But yeah, not selectors, sorry. Not selectors, guys. If you thought selectors for a second, you were right there with me, and we were both disappointed, but it's still okay. It's not as good, of course. Not nearly, but this is also nice. Following consumables can now be stacked up to 9,999 into a single inventory slot. Power elixirs. Bro, isn't power elixirs up to 9,000 now? Oh no, it's 3,000 now. Oh my god, I can make an even bigger potion mule. Oh no, why did I NPC all my entire power elixirs stack on a whole character full? Oh, now I have to make a bigger. Oh no. Okay, reindeer milk and twilight dew, sunrise dew, sunset dew. You should be NPCing those for money either way. All cure potions. I mean, just keep one stack in your storage for any character that needs it. Get rid of all the other ones. Strange cube. Oh my god. The mythical cubes are gonna be mystical cubes. Mystical cubes are going to be stackable up to 10k. Okay. Well, I can't get rid of any stacks now, guys. We're going to have to... We're going to be restacking. Can I check, actually? How far is my character right now? And what's the other one? And karma cubes. Okay. Which one has all my items? This one, right? Can't they let me exchange 1,000 cubes for 1 hard cube? Something like that, yeah. Or let you NPC them, even for like a pretty small amount, but just for something. Yes, these stacks... Oh, these are going to be 10k, so this is only going to be a third. Nice, all that extra inventory space. This is 4 times 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 15... 60. So this is only going to take up 20 slots instead. Just a 5x4. That's going to be it. That's going to be all. Well, a little bit less even. I just need to make potential scrolls stack up to like 1,000 or something, and stamps up to 1,000. I could just keep hoarding. I want to keep hoarding forever. Okay. It has been improved so that gold hammers and potential stamps can now be used on equipped items. Yes! No longer have to unequip your item to stamp them. Thank you. Then, this ring. Oh, they took the bonus stats from the right side and added it as bonus potential? Certain ring spacing and names have been changed, and their stat descriptions have been improved to be more visible. Adventurous, Gracious, Magical, Critical, Cruel, Deep Dark Critical, and Critical Rings. Adventure, Deep Dark Critical Ring. Deep Dark Critical... Oh, spacing in the name? Gotcha. Adventure Critical Ring to Adventure Critical Ring. Dark Adventure Critical Ring. Dude, there's like 6 rings that all kind of are slightly different, but they all kind of do the same thing. Because I still have the old Critical Ring. I got the new Critical Ring, so this one with 15 and 5, and then 20 all. But I think I still have the old one on my DA, which does not as much. Because if you guys remember, if you guys have been playing for a very long time, in the past there used to be a stat called minimal crit and maximal crit. Because when you hit a crit, it would do from X to Y amount of bonus damage. And minimal crit would increase X, and maximum crit would increase Y. So it'd be further something like mastery that would change your stability of your damage. But if you have a really old one, yeah, like I have here, this pivotal adventure ring, you can see it's 15 critical rate as well, but it's only 3% critical damage, because it used to be, I believe, 6% max crit damage. And when they changed from max crit damage and min crit damage, they just cut everything in half and just made it crit damage. But you can also see the base stats is only 3 all, so this one is considerably worse than the current event ring that's out there. Okay, let's see. I've been playing CS. It's 7 a.m. WTF. Well, the fact that the sun is coming out and the birds are chirping. I'm quitting the game when Scardor hoards eternal gear. Oh, that's gonna take a while. No worries. It's been improved so that when multiple tooltips are displayed on a single item, they will no longer overlap. Good. NPC, when using storage NPCs, there's no longer a storage usage fee. Yeah, we saw that. Very nice. Pink Bean and Cygnus exit process have been simplified. No longer 16 maps. After defeating Pink Bean, you will immediately exit to the Deep in the Temple Forgotten Twilight map. After defeating Cygnus, you will immediately exit to the Knight's Fortress Cygnus Garden map. Okay, so only one map taken away. One or two maps. Horntail's entry and exit process has been simplified as well, or have been, sorry. So you go back to the Cave of Life, Horntail's cave entrance. You can now enter Horntail without the honorary expedition member's proof. The quest which provides the item can no longer be used. Thank you. If you go remember, the very first time you do Horntail, you have to talk to the NPC there on the top right, Moira or something. And then, only then can you go actually do Horntail, otherwise you just get kicked back out. Maps in dimly lit summer. Oh, DLS4. Has been improved so that the background objects do not block the platforms. And in Cernium Square, and Odium, City of Researchers, it has been improved so that characters cannot interact with the special portals while flying. Okay. UI. This is going to be fun for, I think, a bunch of you. In the Options UI, the Effects tab has been added. Certain settings from the Graphics tab have been moved to the Effects tab. The Options UI's Graphics tab's UI optimization option has been removed, and the UI size setting option has been added. It's only available in 1920 by 1080 resolution or higher, but basically what it'll do is it can make the UI the size of a different resolution in your resolution, however big you want it to be. So the big problem with going for higher resolution is basically that MapleStory still has the issues that game with higher resolution did when 720p came out 3 decades ago, is that just everything became smaller. All the UI and everything became smaller, and it became very hard to read and to really see everything. But what you'll now be able to do is you'll be able to go into higher resolution, but make the UI still the same size, similar size to lower resolutions by applying a filter. So it's not quite HUD editor or a UI editor where you can just drag and drop everything and just customize everything. It's not quite at that level. I don't know if MapleStory just can't do that, or if they just specifically don't want to do that. Not Nexon as a company, but if MapleStory the product can't do that. But this is going to be like a little bit closer to being able to do that. So default ratio UI's size is increased by the same ratio that the UI occupies in 1366 by 768. Default ratio of filter applied UI's size is increased by the same ratio as occupied 36 ratio, and the sharpening filter is applied. And UI is changed to a size appropriate for the current resolution on optimized ratio. Users appearing offline can no longer be invited to a party through the party invite command or the party UI. However, if you are on the same channel or map as a user appearing offline, you can invite that user through the party invite command. It should say like this user is in offline mode or something. In the Zero Mirror Dungeon, you can no longer request entry from a buddy appearing offline. Oh, by the way, I should message Kyle, by the way. Oh shit, there's like 16 million Kyles. Guild text. Okay. Zero Mirror Dungeon, you can no longer request entry from a buddy. You request entry? Ayo? 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 Okay. It's been improved so that during Ursus, every Sorry, entry matching. Entry matching. Ass to ass. When participants refuse entry. Oh no, that's exit entry. Never mind. Entry matching is just kissing, right? It will immediately start matching for new participants regardless of whether or not the remaining participants vote. I don't know. Like, whenever this happened, we always run with the gang, right? So, I don't know this anymore. But back in the past, what would always happen is that some people would get, like, dragged into Ursus, and I would always be just put in a new queue. And I felt like I was the only person that happened to. But, yeah, I haven't run with randos in so long. We just always reset -6. Reset -5. Always. Reset -5, channel 18. We all run Ursus with the gang and help each other out. Every exit is also an entrance. True. Fixed an issue where the cursor in the boss party recruitment UI was abnormal in certain situations. Weird. Professions. Oh, don't extract all your rings. Max, what are you doing to us? You can now disassemble up to 10 items at a time, even if you have learned equipment crafting or accessory crafting. That's a golf clap right there, chat. Hey, that only took them like 8 years to uniformize that. That's pretty good. Character icon turns red, but it will still wait for all 18 people to queue up. Gotcha. Okay, so if someone early on exits, then it just immediately restarts. Onyo, Roar 4? No, there's no Roar 4 there. No worries. Roar 4 is a red gem. I know that because it looks like a Roar 3. That's what I have. Yes, we're using inventory's disassemble button in Meisterville, or also known Ardenmill. It has been changed to be disassembled based on the highest level profession. However, if you have Meister or higher alchemy, it will be disassembled based on your alchemy level. Okay. Guilds. The guild advertising microphone has been removed. What? Noblesse guild skill buff will now be maintained even if you disconnect from the game and reconnect. However, the buff's duration will continue to elapse while you are offline. Praise be. New wonky. It's still not what it should be, but this is improvement, chat. Look, baby steps. We are slowly but surely become a 21st century video game. What about the cooldowns? No mention of the cooldowns, okay? Like I said, baby steps, Chris. Come on. You can't expect skills cooldown to go down when you're offline from a game as the only skills in the game when everything else does it. Come on, man. Look, man, now when you crash, at least you keep your guild skills. This probably already cost them an arm and a leg to implement, okay? Need to fucking tweet this out, bro. This line alone. Baby steps in the right direction. Okay, a retry feature has been added to the underground culvert. You can retry through the NPC data. When you enter through the retry feature, your buffs will not be reset, but your skills will probably be on cooldown. I think all of your skills should also be, like, your stack should be filled and your skills should be, the cooldowns should all be reset as well when you do that, but probably not. Flag races completion conditions have been changed from 3 laps to 1 lap. The points acquired from each course have been changed as follows. What? For all you lazy fucks who can't even do 3 laps of flag in an entire week, okay? Now you only have to do 1. There's going to be actually 0 excuses not to do it. I feel like they should reduce the amount of points per completion now, so actually more people have to just do it. Otherwise you can't get your stuff. 1 lap. Did you mean X this out? No, I said what I meant. Oh, it's going to be a 2-second interval, though. 44 seconds midday, 36 in sunset, and 50 seconds on midnight. Oh, there's a lot less room for error. Or more room for error? Not less room for error. Like, if you fuck up a run on, like, the 2nd lap, that's not going to happen anymore now, right? You get 1 bad lap, you just restart. 1 bad lap, you restart. You get a good lap, you're done. So, that does clean up the whole process quite a bit. But of course, nothing here for Guild Castle because KMS doesn't have that, so keep it on hush-hush. Don't let them know that we actually have that, chat. Update launcher. The file change and integrity verification process speed has been improved. Okay. Some error fixes, probably some minor skill fixes. Sometimes Demon Force effect would be displayed when using skills on non-Demon Slayer jobs. I don't think I've ever seen that. Only when you're like charging your soul, right? Boss map maps where if you died at the same time as using certain origin skills, sometimes the connection to the game server would end. Oh. Effective skills are as follows: Archmage, Fire, Poison, Eternal Venom, Shadower, Resolute Strike, and Angelic Buster Grand Finale. Finale! Viper, the game server would end while Liberate Neptunus is Neptunus and Rage activated. So it's mostly... Oh, this is mostly just interactions with the 6-job origin skills. Absolute bound. Look at that, guys. It's bound, okay? Not binded, not bounded, not bound, alright? Past tense of to bind. Fix an issue where you could not enter equilibrium mode through harmonic? Harmonic, probably. Paradox is power of truth. Listen, all of these other... This is not a typo. All these other things are typos. Shade, Protector Gods. Yeah, so these are all just interactions with the new skills and minor tweaks and fixes. Fixes to skills that we don't even have yet, so. Bind feels dank, man. Can we get this fixed on 6-job release? I don't want to crash while using Origin skill for 6 months. No, I mean, this is not... Well, is this 6 months after? It's not quite 6 months, but this is a while after they released the 6-job, yeah. I hope stuff like this just gets auto-implemented, but I don't know what the turnover time for that is, or if it would interfere with different versions of the client. I hope it wouldn't, but we'll have to see. I saw that FAM drop rate doesn't apply to Mezzo bags unless it's a Mezzo line. Yeah, is that true? So I can't farm at 0% drop rate with large drop. No, you'll have to get your drop rate from your Mezzo bags from other sources of drop rate. So from Holy Symbol, from your inner ability, from drop rate lines on your equipment. If that all adds up to at least 67% or 66.66%, then you have 100% chance for a bag, and then you don't need any kind of Mezzo drop rate from the familiar line, and you can use the large drop rate, and you won't lose out on any Mezzo bags or Mezzo as a result. Exclamation mark drop rate has all the details, Barchas. Quest changes, literally no one cares. Item changes, nobody really cares. NPCs, sure. Monsters, alright, very cool. Maps, fix an issue in Protect Esfera where monsters could fall to the lowest platform. I've never heard of that. Issue in Monster Park Extreme where when moving from the left or right bottom platforms to the top platforms, the character was blocked by the tree background. Okay, these are all very small things that I've never heard of before. Just to so bounded. Holy shit. UI changes. Following achievements counted abnormally when acquiring Monster Collection line rewards. Okay. Some medals we're not registering. Metal Market. Issue where after creating a demon character, you actually got a demon Avenger sometimes. Whichever was the demon Avenger, the hair color was different than the one displayed in the character creation window. No. Unplayable. Fix an error in certain situations where in the chat window, system messages displayed repeatedly. You got that spell check in there, Max. I love you, though. Fix an error in certain situations where the client would close during boss party recruitment. In certain situations where the client would close. That's the thing you never want to see. Fix an error in certain situations where the client would close. God, that is not a good... That's not a good combo. Super say, good patch, but I like the colors of the whole UI. Yeah, I hope that they may bring a little bit more spunk into that new UI, yeah. A little bit more contrast, you know? Not that gray blob. I agree with that. Someone next to know the character UI already shows your dojo floor. There's no need to show your entire Maple resume plus your home address plus a new made-up number to get a handle on how strong someone is. I mean, they do need to get rid of damage range, though. The main thing, though, is not so much to see your own stat, but it's to be able to see other people's stats. So that is pretty big. All right, so we still don't know who the big character revamp is going to be. Let me know which class you think it's going to be. If I had to put money on something, honestly, I think it gets overlooked, but I think my money would have to be on Angelic Buster as the character that I think needs it the most at this point. But Kaiser's close. It's most likely going to be either a Nova or a Resistance, but that's, of course, casting a very wide net, so who knows. Now with the new UI, we're going to be able to mock people to tap their 21s. Yeah, if you do that, you're an actual piece of shit, just so you know that. Telling anyone else what they need to do with their equipment, unasked when you don't know their life, their backups, and you know how much money they make and everything is actual asshole behavior, and I would expect no one to be doing that. You don't need all the star pieces to get 6-star chapter award. As far as I know, no. You just need to log in on, like, was it 4 separate days, 5 separate days during the timer of chapter 6, and just get all your stuff. Kaiser's one of the best solo bosses in KMS, so it's definitely not Kaiser. Yeah, again, it's hard to tell. I don't know if that's true, but it's hard to tell from a GMS reboot perspective what probably needs the most work in KMS non-reboot, right? Some people have mentioned DS, which of course, you know, GMS rebooted does very well, but yeah, I heard from, it's kind of an ongoing problem that DS is kind of like stuck in a not so great situation in KMS. So, you know, who sees, who knows, we'll see. That's what I was going for. Who knows and we'll see. So yeah, let me know what you think. Maybe you guys are a little bit more of a lore buff, so you're happy with the Dimensional Library coming up. I think it's a good story for Darmoor. You know, Darmoor is probably going to be like another 6 or 7 years away before you fight that guy at least. But it'll be cool to know a little bit more about where it comes from and what's going on. Maybe some flashback bosses, maybe some time travel, maybe some parallel universes, you know, maybe some multiverse stuff. No, I hope not. Please don't. Rearranging of the stuff. Yeah. This looks like a gray blob of poop a little bit. I hope that they spice it up a little bit with a little bit more color. But what I'm most excited about, I don't know what you guys are excited about, let me know. But what I'm most excited about is the possibilities for like API and the information, and seeing what kind of cool stuff that actual like creators of little programs and stuff will come up with in terms of cool stuff that they like tools for the community that will be available and that we can use to, you know, augment our gameplay, or in some kind of way have a better grasp even on how strong our characters really and what can we do with this, yeah, with the amount of stats we have available, but actually be able to do that, you know, in an automated system rather than having to kind of like eyeball it and yeah, that kind of stuff. So yes, so this is this is a test server in Korea, so this is live for them in the test server, not in the actual game yet, KMST. So hopefully next week, usually next Thursday is when they have patch day, we'll see which one of these things made it into the game and which things did not. We won't have to go over all of the, you know, all of the conversation part here, because that's more, you know, programmers' notes, you know, more the building, the foundation on why they did the things, which I think is important, but we'll most likely just look at which things made it through, which ones didn't, which things get altered, and then I'll get right back to you next week with that information. So yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Hopefully you are now a little bit better informed on what's going on in Korea and what might be coming to GMS in, you know, about 5 to 6 months. Thanks for checking it out. See you in the next one.